Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we're gardening here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today I am going to do my very best to do this no-dig flower bed setup under 2 hours. It's about 9:15 in the morning right now. I have to stop working at 11 o'clock because I have an afternoon full of other things. So can I get 2 shrubs planted and set up my no-dig flower bed here inside of an hour and 45 minutes? We will see. Come with me, let's check it out. I recently posted 2 videos about how I turned that part of the lawn into a no-dig flower bed and planted 4 shrubs in there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I've already planted 1 and I'm going to plant 2 more shrubs in this area, and then I'm going to turn the rest of this grassy area into a no-dig flower bed. So the first step in everything is going to be to water everything very thoroughly to lock in moisture and make digging easier. The second step is to plant the 2 shrubs that I have. I'm going to be putting in a Burford holly and a sunshine ligustrum, just like on the other side. After I plant those 2 shrubs, I'll be covering the grass with a hard cover to prevent weeds coming through. On this other side, I used cardboard, but on this side, I'm going to be using this ram board, which is basically cardboard that's been more compressed. It's very much like what cereal boxes are made out of, chipboard kind of stuff. And so that will prevent weeds coming up through the flower bed. I'll lay this right on top of the grass. I will edge around it with a shovel so that the lawn stays out of it, and so that the mulch and soil don't roll downhill off of this paper. And then I'll be putting some layer of compost on top. Today I'm using Black Cow composted cow manure. And then on top of that goes shredded hardwood mulch. And in between all the layers, I'll be watering everything nice and thoroughly. So that's the project. Let's see if I can get it done before 11 a.m. Step 1, water. We haven't had much rain this summer, and this garden area hasn't been worked as a garden before. It's all been lawn, so it's really tough to dig in, so it's really important to get it wet. Step 2, plant these shrubs. I'm going for symmetry with the other side, so I'm lining these shrubs up with what I have over there. To make it easy without having a measuring tape out here, I'm just using the cracks in the sidewalk to decide how far along to go this way, and then I'm just standing here and lining things up against the side of the sidewalk to get them straight this way. Perfection doesn't matter, just getting close enough is going to be fine. So my first step is always to dig the sod off of the surface of the soil. And then I am watering as I go along here because it's just so tough to dig in this soil otherwise. I am doing a no-dig bed, although I do have to dig these shrubs in because their root balls are too big to go into the compost and mulch that will be on top of the cardboard. Now I'm adding some gypsum to the soil so that it can help loosen up and improve drainage in this clay soil. And then when I plant in clay soil, I usually leave my root balls about an inch or 2 above the soil level, and that lets those roots drain the water off downhill a little bit rather than just sitting in that heavy clay soil and drowning. The neighbors across the street are having a tree taken down, so there's all kinds of chainsaws and limb shredders and chippers and all the noise over there. So I'm just going to move on to the next step of this project, which is to lay down the hard paper / cardboard / newspaper / whatever you've got on hand that can decompose. On the other side of the flower bed, I used cardboard boxes for this purpose, and I ran out of cardboard. I could have gone to a store and asked them to give me theirs for free, but I decided instead, based on the suggestion of some viewers, to use this floor protector that you can get in the builder section of the home improvement store. And I really like this choice because it's very easy to work with. You can make the pieces exactly the size you want very easily, and I just feel like it was a little bit easier than dealing with all the boxes. It did cost some money, but I'm okay with that. Now, the no-dig aspect of this. I really think no-dig beds are intended for flat spaces where you're doing row crops in a vegetable garden. And those crops don't really need to go much deeper when they get planted than the 6 inches you have on top of your bed. Here, I'm using this for flower bed, and so I really had to dig in those shrubs into the native soil. And but I decided to go ahead with the no-dig method just so that I didn't have to tear out all this sod by hand like I did in the backyard. So it's kind of a combo. It's not exactly no-dig, but it's close. Okay, I think I have... Boy, that's noisy over there. I'm going to get close. Maybe you won't see me, maybe you will. I don't know. All right, I've got my paper laid out. I'm just using a single layer because it's that compressed chipboard cardboard. And I think it's just as good as the single layer cardboard that I used on the other side. I pieced it together with overlapping edges so I don't have any cracks for weeds to come up. Okay, next I'm going to put compost on top of this to hold the chipboard in place. The compost I'm using in this project is Black Cow brand composted cow manure. It's not raw manure, don't worry about that. It doesn't smell and it isn't going to burn any of the plants in here. Now, ideally you want to put 4 to 6 inches of compost on top of your cardboard layer. I don't have enough to do that. I just had 8 bags and that's what I'm going with. This is, again, kind of a no-dig, kind of not. You could do your own compost from your own compost bin, or you could kind of layer in place with brown and green material shredded up and come back to it in a few months after it's had a chance to decompose. That's called the lasagna method. You could look that up if you're interested in that. I forgot to water the chipboard before I put the soil on, so I'm going to do the watering where I can. So I wanted to water before I put the soil on because 1, it helps the chipboard break down quicker, and 2, it helps maybe have a little bit of grip on the wet chipboard to hold the soil on instead of sliding off. So we'll see. I've wet it down, I didn't soak it, but we'll see. The 8 bags of compost that I had were just about enough to put, I would say, 3 inches maybe. Some places it was 4 inches, some places it was 2 inches of compost on top of this paper. And again, I wish I had a little bit more, but on the other hand, that would have piled up above the lawn a little bit weird looking, and so it's probably all right in the end. Plus I still have mulch coming. Now, in future years, I definitely plan to continue to layer compost and mulch on top of these beds so that the soil out here continues to improve over time, just like we have in the side yard and the backyard. I hope you can hear me. These guys are chainsawing over there and I can't wait for them to stop. So, real quick before they start their chainsaw. Nope. Well, what I was trying to say is that the next step is to dig out the 6 inches of grass that are right up against the sidewalks, both the front walk and the public sidewalk. I'm getting this sod and any weeds that are there out of there, and that way I can bring the compost down over the edge of the cardboard or paper that I'm using and have it meet the natural soil level a little bit, maybe a couple inches behind the sidewalk. And then I'll be able to put the mulch on top of that, and the mulch will come down over that edge and meet right up where that sidewalk is. And then once I water in the mulch, it'll stay in place and it won't slide off the paper onto the cardboard. I'm doing the same method over on the front walk area. I'm taking out that sod and any weeds that are there, and then I'll pull the compost down over the edge of the paper and then pull the mulch down over the edge up against the sidewalk. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I have these sidewalks here and I'm on a hill. If this were a flat piece of land and I were putting a brand new bed out in the middle of the lawn on a flat land, I wouldn't probably do this step. I would probably just pull my cardboard out beyond where I want my bed to finish, and then as things progress, I would cut the cardboard away. For the edge that butts up against the lawn, I'm cutting a trench using my half-moon spade, about 3 inches wide and about 4 or 5 inches deep. and I'm gonna just take out all that soil and all that sod, and that way I'll be able to pull the compost and the mulch down into that trench and have a nice clean edge up against the lawn. Also, this will make it easier to maintain the edge of the lawn over time. A quick and thorough watering in will get all that mulch laid in place. And here's the finished product. I think it looks great. I'm so happy with it. Hey everybody, just a quick update. We have had rain this afternoon. It was a quick pass-through thunderstorm, and the rain was pretty heavy at some times. So I wanted to see how the flower beds did after the rain with regard to keeping the mulch on the mulch pile instead of on the sidewalk. So let's take a look. You can see that I have two different mulches here. This one came out of bags from Lowe's, and this one came from a dump truck in March. And we didn't have enough of this one to do the other side, so they're slightly different. All right, so do we have any mulch on the grass or on the, on the sidewalk? It looks pretty good. I think there's a tiny little bit right here that may have been a person's foot that kicked it, but it also could have been the rain that washed it down. But other than those little pieces there that I've already moved back, we didn't get any mulch on the sidewalk here or along here. So let's check this side. This looks really good. Yeah, so we made it through. There's a little bit down here, but I think this was what I left after I didn't do a good job of cleaning up. So, yeah. So the mulch did not run off of the beds onto the sidewalks, so that's great news. The triple shredded hardwood is what I used, and it kind of locks itself into place, especially if you kind of tamp it down into place and then water it in. Then it kind of locks and holds into place so that it doesn't roll off. So if you're making a flower bed next to a sidewalk, consider using the triple shredded stuff and it will hold in place better. Well, friends, I did it. It is now 10:57 and I needed to be done by 11 and I am done by 11. I'm gonna go in and get my shower and get on with the rest of my day, but I feel great knowing that I've got this project done. Yes! Thank you so much for joining me today, Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I hope you learned something, and if you liked what you saw, hit like, please. That'd be so awesome, and maybe subscribe too if you feel like it. I will see you in another video really soon. Bye-bye, friends.